Hello, welcome to another episode of Art Recz. Today I will be talking about Elie Saab's 2015 fall collection, the movie Unforgettable, which I forgot, and Santé by Stromae. First thing I will be talking about is Elie Saab's 2015 fall collection. Now, when I decided that I would cover some fashion, I was a little unsure if I would just generally focus on the designer. I think that would be kind of unfair to them and to my series because I focus on specific works, and so I started thinking, should I focus on just like a specific piece, like one piece of clothing? Like if they are a shoe designer, should I just focus on one specific shoe? And I was thinking of just focusing on one particular dress because there is one particular dress that I very much enjoy, but I decided I would just talk about the general collection, but reference that one particular dress that I do very much enjoy. So I actually found out about Elie Saab through my mother because my mother says that this is like one of her favorite designers, and I was like, you know what, I'll check it out. And I saw it and I was like, wow, that's really good. And Elie Saab is actually a Lebanese designer, and if you were like me, you might have thought that Elie Saab was actually a girl, but no, he is a Lebanese designer and he is a man. Why do I like this collection and why do I like this dress? Well, I very much enjoy the opulence and kind of like the exaggerated feel he has in his work. He's very detail oriented. There's a lot of things happening in his work, and in this particular collection it's very obvious. And in this dress that I really like, I've actually referenced this dress. I've referenced this dress in like a book cover I once made. Copyright, but yeah, I very much like the feel of this dress because it's like very princessy and very elegant and just very extra, and I love it. And now, what do I think is the message? What do I think is its message? Now, this was something I was really excited to talk about because, you know, it's a piece of clothing. Like, what could its message possibly be? But, well, knowing that Elie Saab is Lebanese and he comes from a Muslim country, I do know that he does a lot of modest clothing, and a lot of the pieces that he does is wearable by people that are Muslim. And I really enjoy the fact that, you know, modest clothing is still absolutely gorgeous, and, you know, it does not take away femininity and it does not take away grandiose just feel of clothing. Because usually when you think of something, you know, sexy, you might think something, oh, like a crop top, like what I'm wearing right now, but you can't see the midriff, or maybe something showing a little bit of leg. But what I really enjoy about this, I actually just kind of came across like this tag on Pinterest that said Elie Saab modest clothing, and I was like, oh, you know what, that's actually a really nice point. And you know, you don't have to show so much skin in order to be like sexy or beautiful, and I really enjoy that. I will also say that, of course, you know, this is like haute couture. It's also kind of catering to Western standards, so there are pieces that show a little bit of arm. It may not like fully covered, but it's not like in your face and like showing a lot of skin. So I really enjoy that. How does it affect me? Yeah, I think it's somehow empowering to just take a moment and think, you know, you don't have to show so much skin. It's entirely up to you how much skin you want to show, and I think it's really nice that there are some very classy, very high and brands that you can kind of turn to and say, oh, this is great and it's modest. Something I also wanted to kind of talk about, if I were to cover like fashion as a topic, unlike the other forms of art, I have not consumed this personally. You know, when it comes to fashion, you know, things like comfort and fit and the quality of like fabric, these are things that are extremely important. You know, in paintings, of course, there are things that like the medium, they're also really important, but there is like a difference in clothing. So I do just want to say I've never personally bought anything from this collection. So as much as I can kind of praise like just the aesthetics and the artistry of this, I don't actually know how well they fit things because I have not personally consumed that, as opposed to like the TV shows and the films that I have, you know, talked about. At least I can say I've personally consumed them because I've watched every episode or I've watched the film from beginning to end, and I can actually attest to it. So this one is a little different. I cannot so much talk about the feeling of his clothing and how it fits me as a person, if it's like something I would recommend for you to buy. It's just I generally love the craftsmanship and the artistry that this designer has, and I very much enjoy this particular collection. So yeah, I just wanted that to be there. Okay. Number 2, we're gonna talk about the film Unforgettable. This one is starring Sarah Geronimo, who is a Filipino artist. She sings and she also acts. This was first shown on October 21, 2019, and it's basically about this girl. It's not necessarily talked about, it's not specifically talked about in the film, but you are aware that Sarah Geronimo's character is on like the spectrum. So that basically means they may have ADHD or some other form of condition in that spectrum, somehow like that. And basically, she meets a dog that reminds her of the dog that her grandmother had when she was a little younger, when her grandmother was a little younger. So this dog basically kind of helps her in her journey and what she just goes through throughout the film. I like this film because it's very different, especially for Filipino films. I am Filipino, so I know that most of the time Filipinos don't necessarily go for plots like this. They usually go for like the sellout, like the formula that they know is gonna generate a lot of money, which is not inherently bad, but it's just bad in a sense that there is not that much diversity in the mainstream of film in the Philippines. So it was really interesting for me and really exciting for me to know that they were finally doing a film like this, and I was actually kind of expecting it to be a romance film. I was kind of disappointed it wasn't, but also I was like yeah, it's about time that they did some sort of film like this. And I mean, it's not to say that independent films don't do this, but it's just really nice that they have like a mainstream actress and a mainstream, as far as I know, it's like a mainstream company that does do this, that does produce this. So that was really nice for me, and I very much enjoyed the fact that the mainstream media is pushing for more unique things. You know, it's about time that they do stuff like this. And what do I think is this film's message? I think this film's message is just showing, because again, Sarah Geronimo's character is on the spectrum, and yet she goes through a lot of internal battles with herself and as well as her family. So I really like the fact that they are shedding more awareness to that, and I also like the fact that they don't necessarily kind of cripple her, or they don't make her less than. You know, they never, of course, you know, within her kind of dynamic, the people around her kind of remind her that you're not supposed to be doing this, and they kind of remind her that what you're doing is exasperating to them. Which I know, although it sucks, it's their truth, and they are allowed to say it, even though it's very hurtful to who they're saying it to. But what I really enjoy about this is that beyond that, they don't necessarily say that she is incapable. And even in the times where other characters may kind of hinder her from doing something because they think she's not incapable of it, she, in the end, ultimately always shows that she can do it. She knows that she can do it, and she just always pushes through. I'm trying to talk about the film without talking about the film. So she just always pushes to do what she thinks is right, which I think is amazing, and she's just trying to live her best life, honestly. And I think it's great that through this film you may be more entitled to feel more empathy towards individuals like this, and you also will just will just value the fact that you, as a normal person, you don't have to go through these prejudices and you don't have to go through these challenges because you are fully capable, and you know, you take these things for granted. Lastly, how does it affect me? Yeah, like just what I mentioned, I like the fact that this will increase awareness, increase empathy, and just it will make the average person just value the things that they take for granted, value the time that you have, you know, with your family, with your friends, and with your pets. The dog is an integral part of the plot. I like the fact also that they incorporated that. I'm sure a lot of people may say that they're kind of copying Korean films or Western films, but I think that's great. I think the fact that they're finally kind of integrating newer ideas into Filipino film, I think that's really great, and I think that's a really great step for the film industry in the Philippines. And lastly, I will be talking about Santé by Stromae. Now, this is actually a French song, also relatively new. It was released on October 15, 2021, and I actually really like the words of Stromae because his songs are reflective of society as well. He does not necessarily do like the cliche, oh, girl meets boy, you know, like what most songs are about, you know, like relationships and love. His songs are like kind of also a social commentary, and I very much enjoy this particular song because it's about like Santé, like praising saints, not like saints, like everyday people that do like things that we look over or things that we take for granted, like people who sell fish and like security personnel. He goes into detail of these individuals in the song, and I think that's really important and really amazing because without these integral people in society, we would not be able to be like, you know, superstars, like actors. Like you look to them and you think they're so great, but there are people, you know, that work in restaurants and are service workers, and they are very important people, and they do very much deserve to be shown gratitude and to be thanked for all the things that they do in our society. And that's why I like this song, because it sheds a light to these people. And I also really enjoy the fact that there is a very odd beat in the song. I remember listening to it and I was like, that's really weird. There's like a syncopation, which basically means it's out of beat. It's like there's just a very specific syncopation in the chorus that I really enjoyed. I'm like, that's really weird, but it's so nice. It's so like it's satisfying, but also unsettling. And I really enjoy that. What do I think is this message? Yeah, I just went through that. It's about, you know, giving credit to where credit is due. And yeah, definitely deserve, yeah, And yeah, definitely, we need more songs like this. Because with me, yeah, I've kind of already gone through this. I guess in society, today's society, we tend to want more and more and more and more. We're always like, we need to be CEOs and we need to be world renowned. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to go high and achieving a lot and, you know, being known for that. There's nothing inherently wrong about that. It's just that in this travel towards greatness, some people tend to step on others and to again take people that are lower for granted. And you know, mega big corporations, they would rather cut costs and put everyone that are in the lower sector, they would just have us, they would rather just throw us into the ocean if they could. Look at what they did to the ocean. They don't even want to claim responsibility. So yeah, it's really important to remember that there's nothing wrong with aiming high. Just remember that if you are doing something and it's hurting other people, that thing that you want to do might not be as good as you think it is. So that's all I have to say for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy it. And again, if you have any thoughts about the recommended art that I have for today, please do leave a comment. And if you have any recommendations, I would love to hear them, and I will gladly talk about them in upcoming videos. So that's all. Thank you so much for watching.